there's been, over the last 2 weeks since we saw each other previously, a lot has happened in the world. So Mohammed, tell us, like, you know, what's happening where you are, and you know, what's new compared with 2 weeks ago.
So what happened 2 weeks ago? Actually, many things. They make more people to evacuate from their places in Nusayrat city, in Al Brij city, and also in Jabalia, in Beit Hanun. They again, if I can say, like, come in Jabalia city again. They were before, and then they go out from it, and then now they back again to Jabalia city, Beit Hanun, trying to make the people out go out from the city. And actually, when they ask the people to go out, they also trying to shoot them directly, even they are going out or evacuating from the city, and who don't listen to them, he will be inside his house, and if in any time they will bomb the house, they will, like, I heard many stories about the people there, that they were in their homes, they couldn't leave, and suddenly and just in a second, the Israeli army come inside the home. They took the people from there, and they make the women go out in the streets with nowhere they can go, and the men, they took them as a hostage, and many of them was actually killed directly in the street, without actually any reason. So they are just continuing their actions as murders, doing massacres every second, every day. And this is actually the last update from the stats right now.
Yeah. And so, as you are aware, like, it's spreading to Lebanon. Well, it has spread to Lebanon, it's spread to so many other countries. It's like, so for you, it's like, how do you see that? You know, like, what is your kind of, you know, what's your take on what's happening, like, broad, you know, in a more broader area?
So no one in the world actually make Israel stop of their massacres in Gaza. So now they are doing the same in Lebanon, and no one knows, but I think it will be more than Gaza and Lebanon. It will be in the whole Middle East. It will be a huge war, a huge number of murders in the whole Middle East. There is many wars will happen, and it's just going to be worse day after day. If no one actually try to stop Israel, try to stop America of supporting Israel, it will be a huge war in this in the Middle East, and maybe more than the Middle East.
And in the middle of all of this, you have to remain optimistic. You have to remain intact in terms of, you know, who you are and what you believe and what you value and everything. So what is your strategy at the moment, in being in the middle of all of this? How do you remain you know, the person that you are, which is, you know, a positive, enthusiastic, talented person? How do you remain true to who you are, so that you can be creative? You know, because this whole thing is about the phoenix rising and about creating something from, you know, from the ashes, from nothing, whatever. So how do you remain resilient, I suppose?
I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to stay alive. I'm trying to be creative in this situation, but it's not easy at all. Watching the news, living the news, living this war, it's not easy. Watching another war happen in Lebanon, while the war in Gaza not stop even. day after day, I believe that I feel like it will not end very soon, and maybe it will be like it's already have been 1 year, and now it will be another 1 year, maybe more than a year. The Israeli government say it will take another year and a half. So it's not easy to be optimistic or try to be creative in this situation. We are trying, but to be honest with you, it's not easy at all. Time after time, day after day, I feel I lose hope. Actually, for this to, I lose the hope to back to Gaza where I live, to my city Al Zahra exactly. I lose the hope this war will finish soon. I lose the hope in everything. So, as I said, I'm trying to be optimistic, but it's not easy at all. I'm trying to be creative in this situation, but the situation not helping at all. The situation actually make me just think in the bad situation that I'm in, and that will be worse in the future.
Okay, and Hussein, do you you said in the message that your camera is not working. Is your microphone working? Do you have any comments, Hussein? You're on mute at the moment. Yeah, there you go.
Hello, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Could you please introduce yourself, Hussein?
I'm so sorry about my camera. So I'm joining from my phone, and selfie camera is not working today. Sorry about that. So my name is Hussein. I am, as I love to introduce myself, I'm a Gazan, Palestinian Gazan. I'm a medical doctor, my background, but currently I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Leicester. Yeah, that's my background. Yeah, I'm also like a teaching assistant at the University of Leicester. That's shortly about myself. So it's my first time joining you, and I'm really, first of all, I really appreciate your efforts and this initiative. Whatever initiative that is really supporting the Gazan people and support this cause at this really tough time, it's hugely appreciated and hugely needed, actually. So thank you so much for all your efforts, and thank you so much for everything you do. So it's my first time. I'm still like I've watched like few not all the videos. I've tried to watch a little bit on this initiative. I'm still learning about it, still knowing about it. So yeah, happy to know more about it as well.
Well, this initiative centers around Mohammed, because Mohammed is based in Gaza, so he's right at the heart of that. And I think, Mohammed, the fact that you come on these calls every week, that in itself, that commitment is a part of the resilience, in my view. That being here for these calls week after week after week, that in itself is, for me, it's a powerful kind of way to demonstrate to others that Gaza is full of people, talented people, creative people. So that in itself is important. So Chris, Mohammed is talking about how difficult it is to be optimistic and whatever. So from your point of view, Chris, when you have been through times of trouble.
Yeah, I just, before I talk about that, I'd just like to ask Hussein if he has family in Gaza. I would think he has, and is he in touch with them? And what sort of connections has he with Gaza at the moment?
Yeah, Hussein, could you respond?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my family is still in Gaza. They are specifically in the north part of Gaza, and they still there. like despite everything going there, and despite that, they are living now really tough days. It's like the early days of the genocide. So they are they are still there. We are trying to get in touch with them. Like I'm trying daily to get in touch with them. Yeah, sometimes I manage to do that, sometimes not. But yeah, what we do for them, like we just pray for them, like we try to just check in with them, and we hope that this gonna like end soon, like, and so we can meet in the future with them. I left Gaza 3 years ago now, and I haven't been there since then. So yeah, I might not be like really like aware of everything like since I left. But as I get in touch with my family, friends, everyone there, so we trying like really to support them as much as we could.
Yeah, yes, it's I mean, from the safety of these shores, it's very difficult to imagine what's going on, and as what somebody who was participating in these discussions says, that even for us, it's very distressing to see what's going on. So, in some ways, you try, just to keep it a little bit of a emotional distance. Otherwise, it would be too overwhelming for even for someone who is not got your intimate connection with your country. So they have all our good wishes and support. And what I was being asked was, how do you get through stressful situations? And I think the only thing is, from my perspective, as I'm getting on now, I've lived through cycles and periods of history where, at a time when you can't see around the next corner, you suddenly it comes to an end, and a new phase takes over. So you think that this is. I mean, I grew up. I was born during the war, and the Second World War, as we call it, and I grew up with the threat, in inverted commas, of communism, and then suddenly that disappeared, and we're into a new era, and then it's trying to kind of read into the future what's going on, and it's difficult at the moment because America doesn't have a functioning government in terms of its having to bring its policy. Netanyahu's running rings around Biden, and one wonders at what point in the future are things going to settle down, be resolved, and how long have we got to go on with this agony of just seeing disaster after disaster, and the horizon, as Mohammed says, it doesn't look. It's very bleak at the moment, and then we don't know who else is going to be drawn into this conflict, and there are all sorts of people who you think might get drawn in, but are standing on the sidelines, watching the whole process and waiting for their opportunity. So all I can say is all things will pass, but it's not a lot of comfort to say that, but things will turn out better, and because people can't go on killing each other all the time, as they say, war doesn't say who's right, it only says who's left, and it's not a way to settle human differences. So there has to be wiser heads, more moderate people, and people bringing the parties together and trying to get them to come to some kind of arrangement where humanity isn't being destroyed.
Yeah, you're totally right, Chris, that, you know, I suppose wisdom over decades, with that wisdom, the wisdom of hindsight, because you've seen wars before, you've seen how they start and how they end. You know that things will improve. You know that because history shows us that. You know, the fact that we're still alive as a human race means that wars have happened and then peace occurs. 20 years ago, when we were, well, I think probably about 2002, when we were protesting against the war in Iraq, I think 2 million people were protesting in London. There was, you know, when there was that imminent threat that Britain was going to get involved in bombing Iraq, there were 2 million people, and that included young children. It included, you know, those who were disabled. It included all kinds of like spectrum of society that had never protested before, because they knew what the consequences of that would be. And we have seen those consequences. And, you know, over the last 20 years, we've seen things going from bad to worse. And at the same time, we know, like from the previous century, that things do go really like from bad to worse, and then things settle down and there is peace again. So we do know that there are cycles of war and peace. But as you say, it's very little comfort to somebody who is in the middle of the war zone to think, you know, to think about that. Is that true then, Mohammed? You know, like that's why it's difficult to be optimistic, because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel at the moment. For you, what is that light at the end of the tunnel? What do you, I suppose that's what I was getting at previously. It's like, what is it that you focus on that gives you the hope that, you know, this thing, you will come through it, it will end, there will be peace. It's just that we don't know how long it will take to get to that peace state.
So when this war actually over, when we can back to our places, to our city, then in this moment I can say this wars, or this, like, this is the light right now. Otherwise it's not nothing else actually. Just when we can back, when we find ourselves in our place, in our city, in Az-Zahra city for me, in Gaza, in the south of Gaza for other people, in Rafah for other people, in Jabalia and for another people. So when everyone can find himself in his own city, this is the light for us. Otherwise we cannot see or believe in anything else, because
Yeah.
we cannot even believe in anyone. So I cannot believe until I can see, until I can live the finishing of the war, when I can be in my own city, on my on my place, on my land. That's actually.
Yeah, I understand. And Hussein, for you, because you haven't been there for 3 years, you know, we could say, all of us, Chris, myself and yourself, we're in a safe space. But in a way, even though we're in a safe space, when you have connections, when your family are in Gaza, do you feel that you're in a safe space? Or the fact that you're every day worrying about your loved ones, does that make it a dangerous place, even though you're far away from Gaza?
So honestly, I feel that you are not in safe place at all. You are even sometimes in more dangerous place. You feel sometimes that you want to be there, and that's your safe place. When you know your family, your friends are facing all of this, and you are away from them, you feel that the safe place will be being with them, even if it's whatever, like outside, how things are going outside. It's just like being around them, whatever situation it is. So yeah, it's not easy at all actually to be away at this difficult time sometimes. And I spoke to many Gazans, and I think Muhammad really might know, like other Gazan outside Gaza, they all wish the same. They all wish to be there with their families and to face the same thing at their families. So yeah, I don't think it's could consider it safe at all. I'd like also to comment on one on what Chris mentioned. I would like really to echo what he said. And the thing is that, yeah, we heard about as our generation, we heard about all like the wars before. We heard about the genocides before, like the Bosnian the genocide in Bosnia and other genocides. But every time when I talk to people, like they say that, yeah, we heard about these genocides, we hear about these wars, but and then we thought like, yeah, how did this happen? How did no one has done anything regarding that? No one has stopped it. No one has like really stood against it. And then we witness this genocide broadcasted, live broadcasted this genocide, and still the same. It's going for more than a year now, and no one's able to stop it. No one's able to stand against it. So yeah, it's how irony this is, like how we were really naive about thinking about how the other genocides before and all this stuff, no one has stood against it. So that's sometimes like make like might give a bit of like negative feelings, a bit of like being hopeless about this when you think about it. So yeah, that's sometimes like really make us like don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, last week I was at the Birmingham Literature Festival. I was talking to Chris about this earlier, and at the Birmingham Literature Festival there was a young woman from Palestine, and she's a writer, and she was talking about the book that she's written about her experiences during the during the war 10 years ago, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But that war lasted just a few months, right? Those were terrible,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as long as this. And she was talking about the fact that because she lives in London now, like yourself, Hussein, it's like she doesn't feel safe in London because her family in Gaza, her relatives are being killed and her friends have been killed. And so where is the safety? Because, it's like she's losing what she would be losing if she was in Gaza herself, because sometimes it's not about our own life that we worry most about. We worry about the lives of our loved ones. But the point about her is that she has moved and she has written a book. And when we talk about creativity, very often creativity occurs through movement and through, like creating something that you can share with others to help others, so, and you've moved as well, Hussein, it's so, whereas Mohammed doesn't want to move. Mohammed wants to go back home, and that's the difference. It's like, which is, I'm away from my home. If I was living in where I was born, I don't think I would have a very good life if I was living where I was born. So my family chose to move from there. For you, what is this kind of, what are the differences between moving from our home, to find like, a different community as opposed to remaining and wanting to go back? I have to admit that for the first 18 years of my life, I always dreamt of going back home to the village where I was born. For 18 years, I dreamt about that. And that after 18 years, I did go back, and I realized that that village that I had left behind when I was a 6-year-old was no longer my home, really. You know, everything had changed, and so my home was here in England rather than there. But it took me 18 years to come to terms with that. So what are your thoughts on that, of like moving and as opposed to staying?
So for me, it might be a bit, I don't know, it's a bit different, because when I moved, I didn't just move for like looking for better quality of life for me and my family, my little family here. We like it was just like my movement was for a goal, for a aim, that yeah, I'm gonna move to get more education, to get more experience, and then to go back. So from the first moment, or even before I move or I think about it, I was having this idea that I'm not gonna move permanently. So the idea that I was taking in, that it's just a temporarily, and then I will go back to my country, I'll go back to my family, friends, to my neighborhood. I'm gonna go serve it as well. So when having this idea in your mind, and then you look at your country, at your city that's all destroyed, obliterated, and your people are not there, and you are not there to help them, you are not there to serve this community. It's really more like, it's really heartbreaking. I don't think it's really easy to move on when this is your goal. Wasn't your goal just to move on from your country and you just have like some connection there, but no, it's just even your movement outside, it's connected, it's linked in a way or another to your community and country. So it makes it like more difficult actually when you have it. So I don't think it's easy really to move on to the idea that you can move on and just like just look for your individual or your little family like survival, and not think about your home and your country. I remember when I was talking to some friends, I told them, yeah, I'm just waiting for this to end because I wanna come back and at least visit you and see you, see the family, see friends. And then everyone I told them this idea, they just said, no, don't even think about it, because you still have like in your mind, you still have like a picture in mind to your city, to your home country. Even if you see on the videos, you see online, how does it look like now, you still have like some kind of imagination picture when you were there. So don't come now, even if it's ended, even if the border are open, everything it's fine. No, don't even think about it. Yeah, keep that image in your mind until it comes back, if it happens.
If I could just say something, in that I think we need to make a distinction between physical safety, which you have, but there's also emotional safety, and ourself as a self. We are social people, and so part of a lot of yourself is still over in Palestine, in Gaza, and that's so you might be okay now here, but you're suffering because most of your emotional ties are still there, but there'll be no purpose in you going back at this stage. It wouldn't serve any sensible purpose to go there, but at some point you will have to go back to be reunited with all your roots and your support system, and so you you are in this situation where you suffer, because suffering is what is and what ought to be, and what ought to be isn't there at the moment. So yes, you're an exile, whereas Jazvia's family chose consciously to come to this country and not be an exile. They in some ways they cut off their roots and came and identified with this society. So I think there is a difference.
Well, originally we didn't, Chris, because my parents, they always thought that we would go back, you see.
All right.
Yeah. They always thought we would go back. It's just that by the time we grew up, we were so different. I don't suppose they expected that. You see, Hussein, do you have children? Do you have children?
Yeah, I do have one son, yeah.
How old is your son?
He's 5.
Yeah. So you see, I was about that age. I was 6, in fact, when we came to England with my brothers and sisters and my parents. But you know, as a 5-year-old, I thought, as a 6-year-old, I thought I would go back. But by the time I was 18, I'd grown up in Britain, so I was very different to the children back home, you know, and so then it was very difficult to go back for my parents as well, because, you know, the children, if they grow up in a different country, their home is not the same as your home. That's what makes it very difficult to go back. And one of my brothers, he always dreamt of going back, but his children, they have families here. So he doesn't want to go back to Punjab and leave his children behind, because they're settled here, you see. So that makes it difficult, because we create roots in different places. We create roots in different places. So
yeah, I totally understand this. Yeah, and that's and that's what I mentioned. It's more tough now, because whatever your plans is, whatever you've been dreaming about going back, now with this situation, no one knows if will be like even possible. Like, even if I want to go back, even if I want to go back, if will be possible on one day or not. So yeah, that's more even like really think about this. It's really, really tough.
One of the things that I've spoken about several times is that when we think about home, there is a home for our physical bodies, there's a home for our emotions, where our loved ones are. And at the moment, you're saying your loved ones are in Gaza. That's where your home is, there in Gaza, whereas you physically live in Leicester. And then there's the intellectual home as well. So Hussein, you are in academia. You are located, positioned with academics, with intellectuals. And what my experience is that a lot of academics, they're not openly speaking about what needs to be spoken about. So it becomes difficult to feel at home in academia when, you know, we feel that it's more comfortable for us to speak outside of academia. So do you feel at home in academia?
Well, so yeah, as you mentioned, I really noticed that this is an academic community. It's the silence is really, all over. You rarely hear anyone like talking about this in the academic community, which is really shame. And it's really shameful how to see like how their academic colleagues in Gaza getting killed, the academic institution in Gaza getting obliterated, and no one is talking about this. So this is really, you don't really feel like they're having really family, or same as like a family in academia. I don't want to really say that this is all over in academia, but this is the most part. But because there's some academics and some small community within the university are really supportive, really helpful. Just before moving to this point, it's also like really apart from the academic silence, It's also the complicity of many universities in the UK and all over the world, with really ties with Israeli universities or with really investments in arms companies. So there, it's also, you feel like that you are a part of this complicity against your own people. So yeah, so this is not it's not making it easy at all. However, what it's really make it really you make feel like being at home. It's the support from some academics and from some other students, the movement that they are doing, especially like you see like the movements for Palestine, the encampment movements, student encampment movements, the UCU as well, and many academic staff and leaders of the UCU also are also really supportive. So when you see that they still have like a bit of supportive community within this all within all this, let's say, complicity, so you still, I feel that there is still hope, and you still try to really link with this community, and really you sometimes feel home. I remember when the encampment at the university started, when I went there and I sat with the students, with other staff, and I really spent a day or two with them, I felt really home at that time. So so sometimes you don't really like feel that much of support, but these bits are making really difference. Sometimes you don't notice like how much the encampment, how the impact of this encampment had happened, not really much, but for us as a Palestinian, as a Gaza and away from families, like we really feel that this is really home, that this is really hope. Yeah,
because we call it scholasticide, don't we? You know, like what's happened in Gaza is scholasticide, because the universities have been destroyed, academics have been killed, you know, talented poets have been murdered. And so one of the reasons that I commit to these conversations is like it's a little bit of an antidote against you know, the destruction of these spaces where people have intelligent conversations. It's creating a space, you know, like, so yeah, just planting a seed that a physical place can be destroyed, but we can still create virtual spaces. And the reason that these are public conversations is because in every society, like we have these street corners, you know, people gather on street corners when they have nowhere else to go. They will gather on street corners and they want to be visible. They want people to notice them, that what they're talking about is something important. So Chris, this thing about the square, you know, the public sphere and the square, and the importance of, you know, making our voices heard in public, because Chris and I, we both met many years ago in public speaking, you know, so I suppose we both have that shared interest in making our voices heard, feeling like, well, you know, we want to speak about something that we believe is important, it needs to be said rather than just simply thought about. So what's your take on that, of this kind of the scholasticide, and what can we do as an antidote, as a pushback, as a resurrection, you know, the phoenix rising, in where there are ashes of like the destruction of the universities and academics?
Well, I haven't heard the term before, scholasticide.
Yeah, that's what they call it. That is what it's called now.
But I do know that if one country invades another, what they do is they target the intelligentsia of that country. So the Russians murdered all the leading Polish academics and thought leaders. So it's a danger. Although academics are meant to be above it all, in fact, they're in the firing line when it comes to an invasion by another country. I haven't seen that's what the Israelis are targeting, but it wouldn't surprise me. that beside what they say they're targeting Hamas, but they're probably going after people who lead Palestinian and Gazan thought. So that is a tactic, and it's you name any country invading another, and that's the first people they lock up are the people who can provide an argument against what's happening.
Yes. So in that respect, Mohammed, because Mohammed, you have been a student quite recently, you know, like when I first met you, you were still studying at that time. So for you, how do you maintain your intellectual, you know, how do you remain kind of stimulated at the intellectual level so that you know, that you're not, that is not undermined, your academic knowledge and your academic kind of sense of thought and whatever? What do you do, Mohammed? Are you still there? Maybe Mohammed.
Yes, I'm with you,
Mohammed.
but the voice is cutting. That's why actually I turned off my camera, so maybe this the connection be better. But if you can please repeat the question again, I didn't hear it very well.
You were a student when I met you. So like just a few years back, you were studying, and now all the universities in Gaza have been destroyed. And so the question is about, you know, how do the intellectuals, you know, the people like yourself who, you know, you've been to university and now those universities are destroyed. What are you doing to keep the knowledge intact and the intellectual stimulation going?
So regarding this, actually, there's actually, like most of the universities here in Gaza back to study online, as they used to study online in the coronavirus time. So it wasn't that difficult for them to back again, but it's difficult for another reason. That's why not all the students have the internet all the time, or a good internet all the time. The electricity also, if I can say, like the mood of studying is not all the time is ready for them. So but they already start to study. Like my sister, she's right now at university and study online. Many times she had exams and tests, but she cannot do them because the internet is not good enough, or there is no internet even. After the war, I'm totally sure it will be the same as today, and maybe they will study also in tent. So yes, they destroyed the universities. All the universities in Gaza, 100% of the universities in Gaza are destroyed. Many of doctors who teaching at universities was murdered, and many of them was targeting especially to kill them, to murder them, because they have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that can help the students here in Gaza, and they are trying to remove any source of education, any source of any source that can help, that can develop, can rise the education in Gaza, especially that more than 95% of the people here in Gaza are actually educated, can read, can study, love studying. So they are trying to remove and destroy the education life and the academic life in Gaza. But for me as a Palestinian, this is not enough for us. We will not stop at this. As I mentioned, we back to study again online. Yes, it's difficult, not easy. Not all the students can do this. Not all the students can afford this. But even this, we back. And inshallah, also after this war will finish, we will back again better than before. Even in tents, we will study again. Even it will stay online, we will again trying to study, as this actually, like, the studying is one of the keys to rise your nation, your community, your environment, to rise it again, so that we can, as a community, stand again.
That's wonderful, Mohammed. I'm so glad about what you've just said, that the universities, this is an example of Phoenix Rising. You know, the universities physically have been destroyed, but they haven't been destroyed intellectually. You know, so intellectually they're still alive, and as you say, you know, hopefully better than before, stronger than before, richer than before. So Hussein, you know, with you studying in Leicester, and what Mohammed just talked about, you know, that they have created, you know, these online things, you know, like, how do you see your kind of connection in some way between academia in Leicester and academia in Gaza? Are there any bridges that can be built there?
So yeah, first of all, yeah, it's we maybe the first time we hear about scholasticide, it's during this time when we have witnessed the destruction of all our universities before. And I'm sure Muhammad knows, like in Zahra, where his neighborhood, it's most of the universities of Gaza, even the mid school I studied there, it was there. And we have seen the videos coming from the IDF soldiers directly while they are bombing these universities. So it's not like having any kind of threat on them or any kind of danger on them. So it was really targeted, and we have really heard about how our, even like doctors who taught us during the doctors taught me during my mid school get murdered, and universities presidents and other really intellectual like professors were getting killed and murdered. We even like really see like many evidence that saying that this is really targeted, as Chris mentioned, that yeah, this is kind of how the war is going, when they want to really when it's not just like the genocide against the human, it's about the future of these human as well. So yeah, I heard about the universities, about your question. I heard about the universities are doing now online teaching, turning everything into like online virtual, and this is really fantastic. And this is really also like important to build these bridges, because when you can do this, turn everything into online, you can also collaborate with other universities, with other academics around the world. And I heard about some initiatives using like collaboration between the West Bank universities and Gazan universities, and also global universities, other universities in the world, and how to support the online system and the online teaching of the students. For example, one An-Najah University in West Bank, they offered like an online platform to complete, like for the Gazan students to finish their studies. So this is really a good like a wide space for collaboration, wide space for support, and this is really important for Gazan students. And this is really sometimes weird, like you feel it, like I hear it from many like some academic who are pro-Palestinian and supportive. They said that many students inside Gaza, at the early weeks of the war when it started, and what was really tough times, they were trying to contact these professors or these academics, and try to get like information about scholarships, information about some kind of like postgraduate exams, or like something really they want to really continue their education, despite that they are living now genocide, and no one of them like can make sure that they can still alive till tomorrow or to the next hour. So I hear that from many colleagues that they were really they felt really like how they even think about this, while they are living this genocide, and they are just like not thinking about their survival. They are also thinking about their future. Personally, many colleagues had contacted me about asking about some scholarships. Even during the genocide, they ask about scholarships, about how to apply for this scholarship, or how to do these kind of postgraduate exams. And this is kind of the resilience that you find like in Gaza, that the people not just, even they are living their day by day, they're just trying to survive the day by day. They still think about their future. They are not, no one can guarantee that they can still alive the next minute or so, but they still planning their future. They planning how they get more like study, how to get more work experience, how to improve and develop. You must also have heard like about many examples like this before.
Yes, because the power to dream is so important, isn't it? Like imagination, dreams and imagination, they are very powerful. And regardless of like what can be destroyed physically, we can keep that, you know, our own power to dream and to aspire and to hope. You know, that is a choice that we can make. We can choose. We can choose to dream. It can be very hard to dream when we're going through very difficult times. But Chris, you know, from your point of view, do you find that dreaming and imagination are linked to creativity, and even during times of strife and conflict like this?
Well, I think what's being said now is very interesting, because with the presence of the internet changes history a little bit. That you can aim at physical institutions, but if you can keep alive that kind of interrelationships electronically, then thought itself can be kept alive, and so once you've got a community who can create a narrative and create, as you say, a picture of the future, then you've got a powerful, even a weapon, but at least a powerful defense to keep yourself secure. So there is a fortification there that's not material, but is on a cognitive level that once you've got argument and thought, then you have creativity.
That's right, and that's very difficult to destroy, you know. So Mohammed, you've given me so much hope in what you've said today, because I was feeling very depressed about the fact that all the universities have been destroyed and everything. But the fact that you've said, oh, they've you know, they're continuing their education online, I didn't know that, and so that is great news. And the fact that the online world, that is an example of creating something from nothing. It's an example of the phoenix rising. There is so much hope in education and the conversations that take place through education. So we're almost at the end of our call now. So Mohammed, do you have anything to say just to wrap up now, Mohammed?
I want to thank all of you about this great conversation. I hope that next time, inshallah, we will talk again about the situation here in Gaza with more guests that we can, inshallah, like make our voices still rising and still spreading in the world. Inshallah, yani, this. I hope I'm actually, I'm not believing myself right now, but I hope inshallah next week or next 2 weeks in our next two conversation, this war will be finished and we can talk as a war was not still in. Thank you very
Carry on
much again,
talking.
and it was very nice for me to talk to you.
Yeah, Mohammed, we'll continue talking until we can look at this as something that happened in the past, you know, like a bad nightmare that happened in the past. And we, you know, inshallah, we will continue to talk about how you managed to overcome it, all of us, you know. So, Chris, do you have anything final to say just to wrap up?
Yeah, just keep the phoenix alive, which is a native bird to the Middle East. I think it comes out of Egypt, doesn't it, as a creature that rises again. So let's keep those little tokens of hope and try and increase them and keep us all looking forward to better days.
Thank you, Chris. And I really appreciate your wisdom. You know, like you've lived through so much, and that wisdom that you share is always very much appreciated. Hussein, do you have anything to say just to wrap up, Hussein?
I really would like to express my appreciation for your efforts and for this initiative for Phoenix Rising, for giving a platform for Gazan voice to be heard, and to keep in touch with like kind of ongoing initiative. Sometimes usually these like kind of support initiative like comes down by time, but some kind of like of initiative like is going weekly, on ongoing basis. So it's really vital and really needed. So thank you for your all your efforts. Thank you. It was really an insightful discussion, insightful call. Even for me, I'm like getting I'm even reflecting on what's going on in my emotional situation and everything around. Thank you, Dr. Jasper and Chris, and thank you, Muhammad, for having me today.
Wonderful. I hope to see you all again next week, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, bye, Mohammed.
Bye bye.